Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Casey Hamlin. I'm the chair of the Student Government Safety and Transportation Committee. I'm not here to speak on behalf of student government officially. I just kind of wanted to give a more of a student perspective to all of this, and I'm glad to hear all the dialogue that's been happening. I want to say that I do believe that a majority of students, as has kind of been said tonight, do agree with keeping bars open past 2. You can find out whatever reason you want that they might do that. I'm just kind of bringing that to the table. But I do want the communities and the city of Columbia and all that to know that students do realize we do have a responsibility. We realize that we need to know what our limit is before we try to go back to campus. We do realize that we need to look out for each other and keep our friends safe while we're down in 5 points. There are a lot of bad apples, as some members of the communities have been saying, that don't follow those rules, and I want to promise you that we're trying to figure out why that happens and how we can mitigate that, because it is a problem for our communities and for the city of Columbia as a whole. But we also cannot ignore the responsibilities that bar owners do have. It's making sure that students who are underage aren't entering bars. I know there's been a lot of conversation about how good fake IDs are getting, but there are ways to get around that. It's making sure we're not over-serving students who clearly should not have any more and then just kicking them out of your bar and saying, I hope you find your way home. It's about ensuring the security of their establishments. And I think these are all things that this ordinance does very well, as long as it's enforced by the city and the appropriate agencies. If there's no enforcement there, we're just going to keep seeing fights break out. We're just going to keep seeing high hospitalization rates. I come from the class that had the over 200% increase in hospitalization rates, so I understand that that's a real prevalent issue. And then just general violence that happens in the area. But I do want y'all to know that there are student leaders who are working on this, who are trying to mitigate the issues that do exist, because we realize we do have a responsibility as students, as members of the USC, Carolina, and Columbia communities to do so. We hope to keep working with y'all and the appropriate officials as time goes on to keep making sure that we keep making positive progress. And if you ever need any of our input or anything, please reach out to us, because we love to hear from you, and we hope y'all love to hear from us. So thank you.
No, thank you for being here.
Mr. Duval, please.
Is it Hamlin?
Yes.
Mr. Hamlin, you say the majority of the USC students would not support closing the bars at 2 a.m.?
That would be my belief, at least students who attend these establishments. That would be my belief. There's no formal statistics.
What do you think the average age of a student at USC is?
The average age, well, I mean, if you look, they're going about 18, staying until about 22, 23, so it's going to be about the drinking age, a little lower, probably.
You don't think anywhere close to 21?
I believe it's close to 21, but it could very well be below 21. It could be above 21. I mean, either way, students are going to bars heavily. I mean, a lot of under 21s do end up in these bars. So you could say that, yes, just because they're under 21, that they will support it, but it doesn't matter because they are under 21 and they shouldn't be there in the first place. But that's just, the reality of the situation.
So the underage drinkers from USC are part of the problem?
I mean, you could theoretically say that, yes.
I think he started off talking about student responsibility. I
did, and if I can, sorry, Mayor Benjamin, if I can just kind of come in on that. Yep. We do go through, as freshmen, it's mandatory for us to take what's called Alcohol EDU. It's an online program that does teach us about the dangers of alcohol. University 101, which is the premier transitional program for freshmen in the country, I believe almost every other school models after us. We go through that, and it's a lesson that we take. At the end of the day, there will be underage students who will drink and be irresponsible. It's going to happen, but I do believe that there are the vast majority of students who understand the responsibility that comes with making decisions like that. Sometimes it doesn't always manifest itself, and I think we spend so much time seeing all the negative stories in the news and hearing all the negative stories that we don't hear, students who are responsible, because that's not going to make the front page of the newspaper. That's not going to make it online anywhere. That's just, no one's going to care about that or hear about that, so all we hear is the negative. And I do believe that that's a vast minority of students who engage in that kind of destructive, violent, and just negative behavior overall.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamlin, and thank you
Thank
for
you for being
participating.
here.
Thank you.
And let's also just recognize that although you may not be 21 years old, you still have a voice here, you're still a citizen, you can still vote, and you still have an opinion on issues of public policy. And just about 5 miles that way, you can actually carry an M16 and go to Afghanistan and Syria and everywhere else and fight for this country. So that's a whole nother story. Come on up.